Hello and welcome to another edition of Rolling Illini. I'm Joshua Jones, joined by Avery Schaefer Miles Hill and Andrew Scalera with UPTV. We're so excited that you can join us this week, and we're so excited that Joey Gibbs could join us this week. Joey is a track athlete with the wheelchair track team here at the University of Illinois. Welcome to the show, Joey, and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Oh, thanks for having me. I really do appreciate it. I'm a junior. I'm a community health major. It's getting pretty cold out. I'm not too happy about that, but I'm from Florida originally, so moved here about almost 2 years ago in January. Yeah, I mean, that's really, like I said.
All right, so tell us how you got involved in the sport of wheelchair track and running marathons and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's kind of a funny story. I was a sophomore in high school, and I'm in my math class, and kind of like one of the extra math teacher helpers, he comes to me. He's actually the cross country coach for the high school. He comes to me. He says, "You know, you can do track." And I kind of looked at him. I'm like, "This dude being serious right now?" Like, and I think he was kind of hesitant to even say that because he was scared of my reaction in a sense because he didn't want to feel like he was being disrespectful and everything like that. So, and I said, "I'll tell you what, man. If you get the equipment that I need to do it, I'll be one of your hardest working athletes." And he did his part, and I did my part. And just kind of went on from there.
Wow. If you don't mind me asking, what is your disability? Were you a spinal cord injury?
I am a spinal cord injury. So when I was 11 years old, I got hurt in motocross. And it was the last 10 minutes of practice, and just kind of went for a jump and just kind of went up wrong. And I was kind of, if anybody on the air is listening, like, know anything about like motorcycles, my bike was in too high of a gear, so it kind of bogged a little bit, but I still went for the jump. And because I did that, the way the bike went off the ramp, it kind of wasn't ideal, and I landed kind of like straight on my butt, and then just the weakest part of the spine just kind of snapped right there. And yeah, and that's what did it from there.
So what sports did you participate in before you got injured?
Before I got injured, honestly, motocross was my life. That was that was everything I did. That was my job. That was, I was trying to make it professional in that.
What was that adjustment like? Because a lot of people don't understand what that adjustment is like.
Yeah, I'm honestly blessed to that. I was injured. Like I know what it is to understand both sides of the coin. So we looked at it as a new normal, and it was hard for my parents. I mean, I had some low moments. Don't get me wrong, but I don't believe that I went through a phase of depression or anything like that. I had great people around me, great support. I just kept living life, and people were there around me, pushing me, helping me, and I didn't let this injury decide who I was.
Were you kind of apprehensive at first to get involved in adaptive athletics? Because that's something we've talked about on the show in the past. So I just want your opinion on it.
That is a great question, because I honestly never did want to get into chair sports, because before I got hurt, I was able-bodied and everything like that. So I had a mind of an able-bodied, and so I wanted to do stuff that able-bodied people were doing in the same sense. So I was I was like, nah, I don't want to do this, do that, but track just kind of got me, and it got me involved.
So, you just said that you were into motocross before you got injured. Now, obviously, athletes need a motor. What motivates you?
Honestly, people, the support around me motivates me. I think I have this internal drive that just kind of just never stops and just always wants to push myself better. I think Jesus in my life, I think that has to be my number one. I mean, that not has to be, it is my number one motivation and everything like that. Who knows where I would be if I really didn't have my faith and everything like that. So I think that's what really kind of kept me grounded. And kept me where I never felt alone.
So I know you said high school, but how long exactly have you done track? And since you started, what's your favorite memory?
So, I think 5 years now. I've been doing track since high school. Probably the last 3 years have been at a more competitive level to where it's just not high school track, because if anybody does high school track in a chair, it's kind of a joke in a sense, because you're basically racing against yourself, at least in the state of Florida.
Same for NC.
Yeah, so down south it's not. I know up north there's a lot more competition and everything like that as far as high school goes, but up down south it's not much competition. And then what was the other question? I'm sorry.
And what was your favorite memory?
Oh, the favorite memory.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd say probably the most memorable memory was actually at the state championship in high school, because I was at June. I was a sophomore, so it was my first year, and it was me and this other guy racing, and it was the 200 meters, and it came down to, because of high school it's all about a point system, and it came down to whoever won this race won the state championship itself. So in the race was actually remarkable, because it was the closest race of the whole meet, and to hear the people's reaction, I won by like 1/1000th of a second. Whoa. And to hear the people's reaction, that's what made it so remarkable and just memorable and everything like that, because you just hear them, and then when we passed the line, and then that was amazing.
I just got chills listening to that, for real.
Yeah, it was remarkable.
I did high school track in the state of Georgia, and one of the big problems that the state of Georgia had was getting people to participate in high school track. Was that a problem in Florida, or was it pretty competitive?
No, it was a problem in Florida. I think, unfortunately, not many people know about it. Like, if you have some type of disability and stuff like that, I don't think there's enough awareness out there, at least especially down in the southeast. There's just not many people that know. Like, I didn't know. My coach saw someone else in a chair competing and doing this, so I would have never known if it wasn't for him.
Yeah.
We talked about this a little bit before the show when Miles and Avery and I, when you were talking. And you lived in Florida, but the team in the T-shirt you're wearing right now, talk about a Paralympic team in New Jersey. How did that work, training with a team in a different state?
Yeah, it was honestly, as far as my racing career goes, it's probably one of the biggest blessings in my life, because of the coach there. He's been part of, his name's Jimmy Cuevas, he's been part of the legit Paralympic team for Team USA and everything like that, and he's really, he took me in as his own and treated me like family the whole step of the way. And so what he would do is, because I'm from Florida and they were stationed in New Jersey, he would send me workouts at a month schedule for the month, and then every Sunday, I would give him like a report of how the workouts were going and everything like that. So it was very good. It was a huge blessing.
Absolutely. So before we get back to Joey again, I would just like to remind our viewers that the Illini Drive and the Rolling Illini are sponsored by the University of Illinois Division of Intercollegiate Athletics. Last week was homecoming. There was a lot of great events that went on. The football team's uniforms looked incredible. This week they're facing a tough test in Madison, Wisconsin. But on November 3rd, they'll be home facing the Minnesota Gophers. And you guys better be there, because it's going to be a great game. The Illini have got to become bowl eligible, and that's going to be a pivotal game in that fight. So be there. Men's basketball and football season tickets are still for sale for $109. If football just isn't your cup of tea, basketball season tickets are on sale for $80 for students. So get there. Unified, Develop, Inspire, Achieve. That's what the University of Illinois Division of Intercollegiate Athletics are all about. And to buy your tickets, go to fightingillini.com. All right, back to Joey.
Joey, I'd just like to ask, this is a thing for me. I know I only been here. This is my first year, so I ain't been far from home too long. But what do you miss most about Florida, man?
Everything. Honestly, I can't pick one thing. Obviously, my friends and family are back home. I miss the warmth. It gets warm up here too, but not during January and February. But I do miss the warmth. I miss the water. I'm a huge water person.
How about the humidity?
I actually prefer the humidity down there than the heat up here, than the dry heat, because down there I can sweat and be fine. Where here I just pass out. So it kind of, just pick your poison, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So I miss everything about Florida, honestly.
In terms of training, do you prefer to train in hot temperatures or cold temperatures?
How cold are we talking? I mean,
Like as cold as it gets here, that you guys are able, and we'll talk about the indoor facility in a minute, but as cold as you're willing to go outside.
I think once I'm initially warmed up, I think I'd rather have the cold as long as it's not burning my lungs. But I do love training in the heat and everything like that.
It pushes you to different gear, man.
It's
You start sweating. And you
gotta be
Let me
smart."
just get this rep done, get some water. Oh, man.
yeah, you got to be smart with
You
it.
do, though. Yeah.
Smart water.
Yeah.
They don't sponsor us, so that's important to note. What else?
Sure. So I was just thinking questions beforehand, and like these are just kind of just willy nilly questions out there I was thinking. But in terms of motivation, well, I know Avery just asked about what motivates you, but in terms of like music, what do you really listen to before meet? How does that go for you?
Man, it depends. I'm one of the. I don't know. I get two personalities. I got the serious, listen to my music, kind of just in my own zone, and then I got the crazy, outgoing, life is fun, just not serious at all type of zone.
Yeah.
So it kind of just depends what type of what kind of mood I'm in. Between, I kind of listen like between, I'm a Shawn Mendes, Ed Sheeran kind of guy. I kind of like that type of music.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can respect it.
Okay. Yeah.
So
and then-
what's your happy, just chilling type of music though? Ideally, example from one of each. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so honestly, I do listen to Christian music. I mean, that's kind of like my go-to in a sense. And then, but yeah, like between like today's hits, like with Shawn Mendes, Ed Sheeran, they can kind of go with both. I think when I'm in my more serious, kind of listen to NF. I love what he speaks and sings and just out there. So I mean, when I'm in my serious and kind of ready to get in the zone, I listen to NF and just kind of go in with it.
Oh yeah, I respect it. I like that.
Yeah.
So, for a lot of people who are athletes, able-bodied or not, as you mentioned, they have two different personas. The one who plays the sport and the one who doesn't. How do those two people interplay for you?
I mean, it's just kind of, I try to not to get too serious, honestly, because at the end of the day, life is so much bigger than the sport you play.
Amen.
And so, I try to live lighthearted and stuff like that, and just kind of, be more of the fun, outgoing side. But, and I think sometimes when you get so serious, I think that's when it kind of messes you up in a sense also. So just kind of, you have to try to keep that balance.
I hear you on that one.
All right, so you talked about being from Florida. We've talked about what you miss about Florida, but we haven't talked about why you picked the U of I and how that came about. So tell us a little bit about that.
So they had track camp here. I believe I either was a senior in high school or I already graduated. I think I was a senior in high school, and I came to camp. And I didn't even really know that there was a program here, quite honestly, until I came to camp. And then I figured out the history of this facility and the accomplishments they have done. And so, I came to camp, and then coach kind of was like, hey, you should come and, be part of the program here. But I honestly didn't take the offer because I didn't feel like I was ready. Mm-hmm. So I think it was like a year and a half. I was just stayed down in Florida, just doing community college stuff, just getting credits or whatever. And then I was at nationals. And I've been having shoulder issues and all of that, and I'm sure we'll be talking about that later.
Yeah.
So and I was at nationals, and I was just having shoulder issues. So, and I just had horrible races, and I'm like, whatever I'm doing is not working. So I need to do something different, obviously. So I went to coach, and I'm like, what do I got to do? I said, does that offer still stand where I can come and and be part of the team? And he said, yeah, absolutely. You know, we'll get together and come up. So I actually came up 6 months. I came during the springtime, but I didn't come for school. I just came just for training. And then that fall, so last fall, then I transferred to the school. So, yeah, then love it ever since.
Yeah. What do you think about Coach?
I love him. He's a man of few words, to say the very least. To be brutally honest, he you know. He's an awesome. I mean, he's a guru. I mean, he's a track guru. He makes champions, and he knows what he's doing.
Oh yeah.
That's why he has so much success with these athletes.
He's a real deal, man.
Yeah, Chief, as we like to call him in the gym, but Coach Adam Blakeney is the Paralympic Team USA coach and is an all-around well-respected coach throughout the wheelchair track and field community. So you talked about this, but I also know we're going to get into marathons later. So everyone starts with track, but what got you into marathoning?
I honestly, right when I came, I'm like, I want to do marathons, like right off the bat. And I'm sure a lot of people can, you know, if you just, you know, you don't have to be in a chair, but just be an athlete anyway, like a track or cross-country athlete. You can only go around circles so many times before going mentally insane, in a sense. So I'm like, Coach, you know, I want to do marathons, and he was very patient with me. Like I had to, you know, it took me a while to get to that point. And yeah, it's just funner. It's just different dynamic. It's, you know, it's so much more strategy. Yeah, I just like it so much better.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with more with Joey Gibbs about his injury, the marathons that he's running, including one this weekend, and much, much more. So stay tuned with us. You're listening to WPGU 107.1 and the Rolling Illini. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to the Rolling Illini on WPGU 107.1 Champaign-Urbana. We are here with Joey Gibbs, University of Illinois track athlete. Thank you for joining us again. So now that we've talked a little bit about your past, let's talk about the present. So what is a week like for a track athlete here at the U of I?
A week like for us is, you know, we all have different schedules. It kind of, and our workouts kind of go with our school schedule and everything like that. So I'll speak personally for me. So Monday, I wake up at 5:30 in the morning and go to the gym, do the workout, and then after working out, I got class all day from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. I get out. So, and then Tuesday, it's kind of 9 a.m. till 12:20, so it's a little bit shorter, and then work out at 2 in the afternoon, just kind of doing that, it's kind of like that throughout the week. So yeah, it's pretty busy, but I'd rather be busy than bored, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And let's talk a little bit about the facilities that track athletes use. So they use the same lifting facility as wheelchair basketball players that we talked about last week and in previous weeks, but you guys are home to an indoor facility that is also the U.S. Paralympic training facility for track. So talk a little bit about that facility, what's in it, and what it is like.
So yeah, we call it the roller room. It's honestly a huge blessing. First, if it's snowing outside, if it's raining outside, we don't have to cancel practice. We can just go in the roller room and we just hop it on. It's basically like a treadmill for wheelchairs in the same sense, and it's really cool. It has a little iPad connected to it, so you could change the resistance. So that way, and it shows your speed, it shows your time, it shows everything that you need to know that you would be on the road, and it tries to simulate like you're on the road when you change resistance and stuff like that. And then in the back of the room, we have 3D printers where we print gloves or racing gloves for people around the world that we sell them to and everything like that. And
that was a company started by Ariel Rosin, right?
Rosin, yeah. And so she is the owner and everything like that, and a couple of us athletes help her out making them, and it's changing the racing world, honestly. So it's really awesome to see that
were part of that.
Yeah, if you ever get a chance to go down there, it's really cool. They have old track chairs lining up the top on the roof, and it's literally starts with hospital chairs in like the 1940s, all the way to the high-tech racing chairs that are BMW type, very aerodynamic, and so it's really incredible to see how far the sport has come.
Absolutely.
Since that time. All right, so let's talk about the elephant in the room. You talked about it earlier in your injury to your shoulder. Last week you had an MRI on it. This week you got the results. So what happened?
So, yeah, I've been having shoulder issues for the past 2 years, and we kind of thought it was more muscle fatigue than anything else. So we decided to get it looked at and figure out what the real source is, and apparently it's a tear. It's a small tear in my labrum, and it kind of, but it's not bad enough to where they'll do surgery. So it's just kind of really the only thing to do is just kind of rehab it. And they gave me kind of two options. You can either quit racing or you can kind of just suck it up in a sense. So I'm sucking it up as of right now, and it's very challenging on me mentally, on just because I put so much effort and work into this sport to be at a point where I can only go so far because the shoulder can limit me only so much. And so yeah, it's a little challenging mentally, but just trying to look at the best of it. We try to coach. I told Coach about it, and we try to make a little workout plan. Just being hand cycling, which is kind of, for anyone who doesn't know what a hand cycle is, it's a bike it's basically a bike for able-bodied people, but for chairs. If you're in a chair or whatever, disability. And
instead of pedals, it has hand.
Yeah, it's like a hand crank. Yeah.
Cranks. I've personally used them on occasion just for a little bit of exercise, and trust me, they are no walk in the park.
Yeah, it's a different type of workout compared to the racing chair. It's definitely fun. It kind of makes things fun again because it's just different and it doesn't hurt my shoulders.
Yeah, is it easier on the shoulder?
Yeah, it doesn't hurt at all, so that's a huge blessing.
Yeah, I have to ask, so I know that's a big thing, especially through able-bodied sports. You see a lot of professional sports, people who tear ACLs and they got to recover, but like, in terms, just in your mindset, I know the injury is definitely not something to play with. So like in terms of your mindset, like, was it hard for you to make the decision? I'm pretty sure it wasn't. Quitting racing is never going to be a hard decision, but just like looking at it, how do you necessarily like exactly feel about the injury, and what do you think you'll be able to do, or just what do you think about it?
Yeah, so I won't be back in my racer. Well, I have a race this weekend, but after that, I won't be back in my racer till January, and then we're gonna hop in and see how it does. But it really is challenging, like mentally, like I was saying, because the sport doesn't define me, but it's a big part of my life, and especially if I want to be as good as I want to be, I going in, I thought it was going to be bad enough to where I needed surgery, and therefore I had my mind set up, okay, I'm going to get surgery in the summer, rehab in the summer. By the time it's fall, start bringing it back up, and then I'll be good to go. But, of course, that didn't go as planned.
Yeah. That's got to be tough, being told, like, your injury's not bad enough for us to do anything about it. That's tough, man.
As an everyday wheelchair user, using a wheelchair to get around all the time, are you worried that if the injury gets worse, that could affect your everyday life?
And that's one reason why they don't want to do surgery, because they think it's more of a risk than reward, and it doesn't affect me with my ADLs, my everyday daily activities and everything like that. My activities of daily living. So I'm not really too concerned. If it starts becoming an issue, then I will be, if it starts like really bothering me. But I honestly have no issues with it, just doing what I got to do. So that's a good thing.
All right, shifting just a little bit, but kind of staying on the same topic. A couple weeks ago, you and 14 other Illini competed in the Chicago Marathon, and it was an adventure for you to say the least. So take us through that story of that run.
Yeah, it was, my goal in that race was to finish, mainly because of my shoulder. I knew I had an issue, and I knew I was going to finish, but then during the race, I'm like, am I going to finish? So, when we started, it was horrible weather. It was rainy. It was windy. So, and then, so as we were going, the first 6 miles, my shoulder was absolutely destroying me. And so I'm like, okay, I need to back down a little bit before I really actually do some major damage. So as I was going, probably like mile 12, I saw a couple of my teammates on the side of the road. So I pulled over to see what was going on, and one of them had a flat tire. So I helped them with this flat tire, and then I went on. And then me and my other teammate went on, and then he actually ended up getting a flat tire. So I had to take off my spare tire on my racer and give it to him and pump his tire and fix his tire so he could go back up. And I'm out on the road. I'm only 13 miles in, and I've been in my razor for an hour and a half and everything like that. And I'm like, oh man, this is a lot more challenging than I expected. And then so once we got his tire back up, we were going, and then he actually flatted again. And I'm like, I'm sorry, bro. I had nothing I could do for you.
Yeah.
So I had to go.
Was it something wrong with this chair?
No, it was just the tire itself. No, I mean, Chicago has some really rough roads, so you have to be really careful in a sense.
I mean, any of our listeners who have driven in Chicago know that they have rough roads.
Yeah, so you just have to be really smart on the road and on the course and everything like that. So yeah, he ended up getting a flat, and then I'm just speaking to myself, just finish the race, Joey. You just got to finish. Yeah. So I ended up finishing, and that was probably one of the most proudest races I've ever accomplished, just because of all the perseverance I had to go through for that race.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So have you changed your training technique at all because of this?
Yeah, so I'm usually in my racing chair, and those, like, a racing chair is the original name for it is called a push rim. But we just call it racing chair just to make it easier. But so yeah, I'm usually in my racing chair 5 out of 6 days a week. But because of this, I'm actually in the hand cycle, where I would be in the racing chair. So because of the pressure on the shoulder. So yeah, everything's changed.
Are they changing your lifting workout?
No, they're not. Well, we monitor it a little bit, but for the most part, not really.
Okay, yeah. Going back to the Chicago Marathon, for the people who haven't pushed that race or even ran that race, tell us a little bit about the course, what's easy about it, what's hard about it, if you don't do all those extra things to help teammates.
Yeah, so it's actually a super flat course. So if you like flat courses, Chicago's definitely a race for it. You go through like all parts of Chicago, like Chinatown, Italy, like a little Italy, or I can't think of the name what they really call it, but that different parts of the town. That's just really cool and memorable. Yeah, it's just one of those races it's just one of those prestige races like Boston and everything like that. So many people go. Actually, Kevin Hart did it this year, so that was pretty cool. Did
you run into him?
I unfortunately did not. I was like, man, if I get another flat, maybe I can wait for him, but no, that didn't happen. So
imagine just Kevin Hart passing you, saying some type of disabled jokes. That'd be just
crazy.
Low stuff.
Crazy. I mean, he's an awesome man. He's a stud.
He is. When a lot of people think about track and field and about marathoning, they think it very much as an individual sport. But you're a part of a team here at the U of I, so talk a little bit about how the team aspect comes into play and how the individual aspect comes into play.
I think you see, yeah, it definitely does come into play. So we'll split it into track, and then we'll split it into road. So with road or with track, you got 800 meters and up. I can see where it can be a team sport. I know, especially for the girls side, because I think the girls either 1,500 or 5,000 meters. Don't quote me on this, but back in Rio, they worked together as a team with drafting and everything like that. And drafting is huge in our sport. Just like if you were to watch NASCAR and you see NASCAR drafting, that's huge in our sport. And they actually made it where they raced perfectly. They did the perfect race and placed top 3. So they took the whole podiums and everything like that. So in that sense, they acted great as a team and everything like that. And that's such a huge advantage we have over so many people, especially on the girls' side, because we have the top girls in the country and we train together. So they know each other's tactics and their weaknesses and their strengths and everything like that. So yeah. But far as individually on the track, 400 meters. That's just all you. You're going as fast as you possibly can. There's no teammate that can help you in any way. So it's just kind of like that. But as far as road, Yeah, you can draft during the road. I know some of us guys, we try to draft each other, try to keep up with each other, and just push each other and everything like that. But even if we don't go to U of I and we know racers outside of the university that we're good friends with, we try to help each other in that sense too. Just kind of depends. But then at the end of the day, it's an individual race because it's, you're racing for yourself in a sense.
Yeah.
So where's the balance between individual and competitive and like just being a good sport, so to speak? Where is that line?
Well, I mean, being a good sport, as long as you're not personally taking anybody out. That's, you always want your team, you always want the best for your teammates. Absolutely. I know, at least I do. You definitely want them to accomplish everything they set their mind to. And I think depending on the type of racing, you can work as a team or you can work as an individual. And I think it just depends the type of setting and, and what's going to work best for everybody.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
I know I asked you a little bit about the music. I'm going back to my pregame spiel. I'm really big into kind of like, not superstition, but routine is really big for me. So take us, through just like before Chicago, from the time you woke up till race start. Like, what does that look like for you? If that's different for marathons than it was for when you did tracks, like how does that progress for you? How does that change? What does it look like?
Yeah, so I know for me, it's kind of weird, but we have to wake up at like 4 a.m. and to get ready and go. And usually the race provides breakfast and everything like that, but I actually buy Subway. I buy Subway because you're about to do 26 miles, and after mile 22, 23, you're just like you're drained already, and you still got 3 more miles. So I try to. To me, it helps my stomach the best and just kind of digest and everything like that. It sits well. So, I did that a couple marathons ago and it worked well, and I stick with it. So, as far as track, you can eat a little smaller stuff because it's little sprints compared to marathons. So, it kind of just fuel your body a little bit differently.
Yeah. What's your go-to?
On what part? Oh, the sub?
Yeah, the sub.
So, yeah, you guys are going to judge me. So it's so simple, but I think that might be a good thing. It's like a turkey and ham with some spinach and some mustard. Ooh. Dude, it's the simplest sandwich that a person can make, but
I don't think you really want to be eating a spicy sandwich at 4 a.m. on race day.
Meatball marinara is not the way to
go. No.
So, for an able-bodied runner, I know that they use their upper body to carry them when their lower body gives out. What is your equivalent to that?
Well, my upper body carries me from the beginning to the end. That's all I got is my upper body.
Yeah. Ain't no bailing out on this one, man. You in for down for the count, man. You start, you getting the 26.2.
Arms, I hope you're good. I hope you're good, Arms.
So there's no second wind from another source here.
Your mental state, probably.
You always hear that runners get the runner's high.
Yeah.
Like mile 20. I cry. I start crying at mile 20.
Tears. So since you started in track, I should have asked this earlier, but what are your favorite events to do in track?
Probably between the 4 and the 800.
4 and 800, and why?
Because my shoulder can kind of withstand that. And it's not too fast, but it's not too long neither.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like that middle ground.
Yeah, I was never anywhere near distance. I did 100, 200 solely. 400 was too long for me, and that's why I play wheelchair basketball.
There you go.
Go 94 feet and
come back down.
There you go.
That's 96 feet, not 94 feet, sorry.
One of the final questions I want to ask is, with your shoulder injury, are you still aspiring to go to the Paralympics? Is that still in the cards for you?
Honestly, so this coming up summer is Pan Am's and Junior Worlds. That was my goal this summer, but I think I need to retweak my goals because of it. I don't think it's. Who knows? Honestly, who knows? I don't want to limit myself in any way. Amen. So, we're gonna see what the training and the rest kind of does to the shoulder, and just see, miracles happen every day, and just trying to live a dream, man.
Day by day. And so another thing that I would like to end with is whether this is being an athlete or related to otherwise, what is your goal when you leave the U of I and in life?
To have a degree.
Have a degree?
Have a degree. My goal and my dream is to get a degree, to get married, to have kids. I want that type of life. That's the lifestyle that I want. I want to go to grad school. I want to get accepted to the grad school I want to go to, and to me, it's what I make out of this life. Education is definitely number one, and the job is going to be my money making and everything like that. So that's what I'm really trying to focus on.
What's your dream job?
I actually want to be an occupational therapist.
Oh, wow.
So
awesome.
Yeah, more in the rehab setting and everything like that. I would love to go work at where I did my rehab.
Where did you do your rehab?
So I did mine at Brooks Rehabilitation.
In Jacksonville.
In Jacksonville,
Brooks
Florida.
Yep.
Them Brooks
The Brooks Ballers in basketball.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Those them boys.
Yeah, I went to Jacksonville for a couple tournaments. That's a great hospital. What was your rehabilitation? Really, last question. What is your rehabilitation process like? What do you remember from it?
Yeah, I remember everything from it. So I was there. So I got my surgery at UF, University of Florida, and then I spent 10 days there, and then I spent a month at the rehab facility in Brooks. And honestly, it was challenging, but it was supposed to be challenging. So I just remember this one. I'm never gonna forget it. But they were teaching me how to dress myself, and I'm like in the facility, and they throw me a pair of gym shorts, and they say get dressed, and I'm in the bed, and I just remember being there. I spent like 30 minutes there just trying to figure out something that took me 5 seconds. Here's taking me 30 minutes, and I remember just being so frustrated, so angry, and but eventually I got it, and and that just shows you where life can take you, just how far you come, and just if you don't give up, the sky's the limit.
Absolutely.
So do you use that mentality on the track at all?
I use it in everyday life.
That's important.
That was the answer of the year right
That's
there.
the answer of the year. So we're going to end with that with Joey. Thanks, Joey, for joining us. But before we leave, we've got one more story to cover. Today, the International Paralympic Committee announced the schedule for the 2020 Paralympic Games in Tokyo. You can check that out on paralympic.org, I believe. So paralympic.org, check that out. One thing of interest in that is that one thing the IPC is still kind of leery about is the number of accessible hotel rooms in Japan. So that's a story we're going to have to watch as the games come up, because, a Paralympic and Olympic Games can never run smoothly. So that's something we'll be watching, and something we'll probably be covering the next couple of weeks. We hope you all have an incredible weekend. Thanks again to Joey Gibbs for joining us.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew Scoleri from UPTV for joining us. We will be, if you like the show and you want to rewatch it, we'll be on UPTV on Wednesday at 9 p.m. You can check us out every Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. here on WPGU 107.1. This has been the Rolling Illini. Keep it rolling and have a great week. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.